Shalom, shalom, peace, peace. Thank you guys for joining our class today. This is Jadiel from the Fourth Angels Learning Center. I want to thank you guys again. I hope everybody's being blessed. And today we're going to have another closer look study on the ninth commandment in our 10 Commandments series. We're going to understand the principle behind the commandment so that way we can keep the commandments in principle and not just surface keeping, so to speak. Surface keeping of the commandments is you do what it says, you don't apply it to anything else other than the scenario that's mentioned within the statutes or the judgments or the commandments. This is not how the commandments is supposed to be. The commandment says that the just shall live in them. In the commandments, we live in the commandments. Why? The commandments are written in our hearts. If somebody steals our ox and we return the ox, he's not writing in your heart, give back the ox 5 times. He's not referring to the ox. He's referring to the restoration. You restore another person's items when you take the items that they own. That's the principle behind the commandment. So when we're studying the commandments, make sure that you understand the principle, because you're not really truly keeping the commandments if you're not going to apply the principle to your everyday living. And this is how we walk in the commandments. This is how we live the commandments. This is how we guard the commandments. So today we're going to be referring to how to guard the ninth commandment, and we're going to be dissecting it a little bit. So let's go to it. Let me share my screen. Let's go to it. Exodus chapter 20. And what are we looking at? Verse 16. Thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. I know this is a lot as far as we see this a lot happen. We see this false accusation. So let me just generalize this as what we can see, and then we're going to go deeper so that way we won't only look at that one aspect. So bearing false witness is a person with becoming a false witness. What is a witness? Let's look at this. What does this say witness means in the Hebrew? It is aid, ain, dalet, aid. And it means testimony. It means a recorder, someone who is saying what's happening, someone who is expressing what's happening. A witness, a person who observed or is able to see certain things. Testimony, a person who is giving their perspective on what's going on, right? It comes from the root word, which is ayud, which means to duplicate, to repeat. So that's what a witness is. They're basically repeating what has occurred or repeating what is revealed and what is observed. This is what it is, right? So when it says a false witness, this is the word false is the word shakar. It means untruth, a sham, deceit. Also, without a cause, for no reason. So it's very important, wrongfully. Very important that we grasp the idea of a false witness, a person who is declaring or proclaiming a false perspective on what they see, what they understand, what they saw happen, what they saw occur, even what a person has done, what a person has said, etc., etc. There's so many variations of how to apply this commandment here. But we're going to look at a couple more verses just to get just a clearer view of what it says, right? It says, you shall not, verse 1 of Exodus chapter 23, you shall not raise a false report. Put not your hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness, bearing a false report. Lying. Sometimes it's not even just about lying, but presumption, assuming. Assuming is also something that we need to stand clear of as well. Gossip is a part of this as well. So let's look at this a little bit more. Unrighteous witness, a false witness, false reporting, false relaying. Let's look at a few more verses. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 6. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 19, a false witness that speaks lies, he that sows discord among the brethren. These two tend to be linked together because usually the lies are being spoken in order to get others to be at odds with the person they're speaking about. Let's look at this word discord just so we could get a clear perspective, right? So he who sows discord among the brethren, strife. This is what they did when they were false witnessing against the Messiah. They caused strife between the people and Messiah. They started to stir them up with lies and false witnesses in order to get him killed. So this is what speaking lies usually promotes, sowing discord among the brethren. Let's look at a little bit more. Let's go to chapter 14 of Proverbs. Chapter 14, looking at verse 5. It says, a faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness will utter lies. A faithful witness is a person who stands on truth, stands on righteousness. Even if they are incorrect, they are honorable. They have integrity in order to be a good witness. If you bear false witness ignorantly and you understand it was a false witness and you do not say anything, you are still guilty of being a false witness. Why? Because not only have you said the wrong thing, but you have refrained from saying the correct thing. You have kept yourself from saying what is true as well. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 5. Leviticus chapter 5, it says, if a soul sin and hear the voice of swearing and is a witness, if you're a witness to these things, whether he have seen or you found out about it, look at what it says. If he does not utter it, then he shall bear the other person's iniquity. If you do not utter it, then you will bear the iniquity. Very important to be a righteous witness. Not speaking is also being a false witness as well. If you do not speak, you will be guilty. You will bear your iniquity. There's quite a few aspects to this, and this is very important to understand as well, because we have a responsibility to one another to be a righteous witness, to stand on righteousness, and to witness, to be a witness. We are referred to as Yahuwah's witnesses. We're gonna look at that in a second. Scripture says, "You are my witnesses." So if we are Yah's witnesses, why are we not testifying of the truth? Why are we not testifying of righteousness when we see these sin and swearing and wicked things happening in front of our eyes? Why are we not saying anything? This is very important for us to understand. Why are we not saying anything? And by not saying anything, you will be guilty and you will bear your iniquity. So let's look at this. Let me see. I think it's Ezekiel chapter 3, right? Ezekiel chapter 3. Let's see if this is true. Yes, Ezekiel chapter 3. Check this out. This is starting from verse 17. It says, "Son of man, I have made you a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word of my mouth and give them warning from me. When I say to the wicked, you shall surely die, and you do not give him warning, nor do you speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require it at your hand." Big responsibility that we have with one another, to warn one another, to witness for one another, be a righteous witness for one another. Bearing false witness is not only saying lies, it's also holding back truth from a person who needs to hear it. To what it says in verse 18, to save his life. Let's continue to look at this. It says, "Yet if you warn the wicked, and he turn not from his way, nor from his wicked way, he shall surely die in his iniquity, but you have delivered your soul If you warn him, that's the only thing that you're required to do, is to share, is to sow the seed, is to declare, to profess, to testify, to be a witness. It says again, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, it says, I lay a stumbling block before him and he shall die, because you have not given him warning. You have not given him warning. Look at what it says. I lay a stumbling block before him and he shall die. Why? Because you have not given him warning. You are the stumbling block because you are allowing him. Many people think stumbling block means that you are going in front of the person. But when you refrain good things from people like correction and rebuke, when you hold back those things back, which would give a person deliverance and salvation, when you hold those things back, you are putting a stumbling block in front of them that they die. It says, because you have not given him warning, he shall surely die in his sins, and his righteousness, which he have done, shall not be remembered, but his blood will I require at your hand. So this is very important aspect. This is the principle of the 9th commandment. The principle is our responsibility. What is our responsibility as a witness? What is our responsibility as a brother's keeper, as our brothers and sisters' keeper? This is our responsibility. Let's look at a few more elements, because I don't want us to eliminate certain elements out of this, the understanding of the principle of this command, because sometimes we see one person would do one thing and then they'll ignore another aspect of the same commandment, and we would deceive ourselves, making us think that we're not breaking the commandment because we're not doing this particular thing over here, not knowing that the principle applies to this thing over here as well. So look at this, Psalms 101 verse 5. It says, whosoever secretly slanders his neighbor, him will I cut off. We're going to look at a little bit more serious wording pertaining to bearing false witness. Slanders his neighbor, him will I cut off. Him that hath a high look and a proud heart will I not allow. Slander. Let's look at what that word means according to this scripture, according to the Hebrew. The Hebrew word for slander is lashan. Is it? Let me see. Yes. Lashan. It means to lick. It means to use dominative, to wag the tongue, to accuse. So this is very important, to accuse. Of course, slander, I think many people know the definition of slander is false accusations. Now, sometimes there's this assumption where people give false accusations about others. And Yahuwah says, if a person secretly gives false accusations to his neighbor, I will cut him off. That means that he's talking secretly about another person to another person. This is very serious. Gossip is not a game when it comes to Yah in his law. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 19. Leviticus 19 verse 16 says, you shall not go up and down as a talebearer among your people, neither shall you stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am Yahuwah. You shall not go up and down as a talebearer. What does it mean to be a talebearer? Does that mean only to tell lies? It does. But what is it talking specifically? See if we could add another application to it. Slander, to carry tales. This is a scandal monger traveling about, someone who goes around telling scandals, telling people's business. This is a talebearer among the people, going up and down. It says, you shall not go up and down as a talebearer among your people. Very important. Yah wants us to represent something pure. He wants us to treat each other with love and not use our mouth against one another. Proverbs chapter 11, a talebearer reveals secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit conceals the matter. Conceals the matter. A talebearer reveals other people's secrets, but a faithful spirit conceals it, meaning they hold it in. They take it to Yah in prayer, or they correct the person. We are responsible to manifest a certain character that represents who we serve. And if we're not representing or manifesting that character, then you cannot properly, honestly profess that you bear this person, our Elohim's name. You cannot bear his name in vain. You cannot demonstrate that I'm a follower of Yah and then ignore the instructions that he's given to us to apply in our everyday life and actions. Proverbs 20, verse 19, he that goes about talebearing reveals secrets. Therefore, meddle not with him that flatters with his lips. Don't worry. Don't deal with certain individuals that will boast you up, but you know that they go around telling, even if they tell you secrets, if you're the trusted one, sometimes we like, oh, he trusts me, but he doesn't trust anyone else. Or she trusts me, she doesn't trust anyone else. So she's telling me all of these things. Whatever is being done to you is also being done against you. So if someone is coming to you about someone else, the moment that there's a conflict, guess what they're going to do with you, with your image, with your secrets? Be very careful. Be very careful. Let's go to Proverbs 26. Proverbs 26, verse 20. It says, there is no wood and the fire goes out, right? If there's no wood, there's no fire. So where there's no talebearer, strife ceases. Where there's no talebearer, fights and quarrel and arguments stop. This is very important. We are not to be false witnesses. We are not to be witnesses who are false. We are supposed to be righteous witnesses. We are Yahuwah's witnesses. We are the ones that bear righteousness and bear his righteous words to one another. And we are the ones who display the righteous understanding to others in order for them to stand on righteousness as well. We hold the responsibility for one another as our brother and sister's keeper, to be a righteous witness for others, that they may be able to stand on truth. And if they reject truth, you have done what you are required to do, which is to be your brother's keeper. If they continue to make the same decisions, that is not a responsibility that falls on you as being a witness. That's their responsibility to listen and receive what is true. So I hope that this was clear, and I hope that we take a second look at this idea of being a false witness and see that slander, telling people secrets, gossiping, being in other people's business, as well as lying, defaming a person's character to another. All of these aspects is referred to as being an unrighteous witness. And we need to make sure we understand this principle, so that way when we apply this commandment, we can be keeping the commandments in righteousness and in understanding, and not just simply a surface understanding of, when you say something, don't lie. No, it's much more than that. And the more that we apply these commandments, the more that we'll be able to live in them, and we will truly say that the law is written in our hearts and in our minds. I hope that this was clear. Please contact us if there's any questions. If there's any topic suggestions, please email us, and we would love to hear from you guys. And we just want to say bless you guys and shalom. Shalom, shalom. Thank you guys for joining our study today. I hope that it was edifying. And if you want to support this ministry, you can support us on 4alc.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube page. Click the like button and the notification bell. I hope to see you guys on the next study. Shalom, guys.